Welcome home. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore. We are Baltimore positively taking the Maryland Crab Cake Tour out on the road this week. We're going to be at Costas on Wednesday. I will have Ravens scratch-offs to give away. When I say Costas, Timonium Costas, not Dundalk Costas. We're going to do that one next month. We're also going to be getting around town all month long through this World Series period of time. Next Tuesday, we're going to be over at State Fair in Catonsville. Alan will be joining us. We might be talking some World Series, but certainly the Orioles off season, who's going to manage them, Albert Pujols, this, that, whatever. Coco's Pub on the 5th in Lauraville. See Marcella, and I'll get some of my favorite coconut shrimp. And then on the 7th of November, we'll be at Pizza John's in Essex, which usually means that Luke finds reasons to cut practice short before the Minnesota game and get to Essex and have some pizza as well as some scratch-offs from the Maryland Lottery. This guy scratched off from Northwest Baltimore down to Tampa Bay. He is a recovering sports writer, aren't we all? And author of the Tom Maddie book. He comes on the show 2 or 3 times a year. He sends me texts once or twice a month when I piss him off or give him a rah-rah or fire him up as an old sports writer or columnist. Joel Poiley is here. That's Poiley. You can find him out where Tom Maddie books are sold. He was a friend of the Maddie family who wrote a beautiful book. And Joel, I thought of you. I was out the other night. I was at Costas in Timonium, and a friend of mine came up to me. They were doing Rockin' at the Races, which is this big liquor poker distributor, beer, fancy wine. There were all sorts of liquor people out. People knew who I was. I didn't shave. I didn't look good. I was just there to watch like the end of the 4:00 games and a little bit of baseball. And somebody came up to me and they're like, hey, it was Will Camato, who runs Liberatores. My shout out to Dante and the whole Liberatore family, John, everybody, up in Timonium. And he said, Tom Maddie's widow, came in for dinner last week. And I'm like, so when I hear Tom Maddie and I hear his family, and dude, the 75 Colts thing, I can't believe I haven't had you on since then, because Maddie wasn't on the 75 Colts, but that reunion 6 weeks ago with Burt Jones, I mean, dude, I met Roger Carr. You know what I mean? Like, I met George Coons, and he offered me free burgers and French fries in Las Vegas because he owns McDonald's franchise, which I never knew, 50 years. So his email is my Mr. Fry guy. So anyway, like the stuff you learn when you're an inquisitive sports writer and you have the youthful energy of my 57 years, Joel.
I got you. Good being back on, Ness. Good to see you. I'd love to do a book with Burt. I mean, I think about that team all the time because it was the second generation, it was after Unitas. And yeah, Tom wasn't involved, but then again, he was, because he was always around the team. He was always promoting. I think at that point in his life, he was doing some TV for CBS. As far as Judy, I think I told you, I still keep in touch with her. I'm going to give her a call because I think November 2nd is the date Tom passed 4 years ago. So that's always kind of burned into my mind.
I saw Tom at Liberatores. I don't frequent Liberatores, but I've been there many times, and Lib's Grill, the whole deal. And I saw Tom and Judy in there years ago. Steve Jeppe, when I'm there, I see old friends all the time. Right. But tell her to get the meatballs. It's important she gets the meatballs at Liberatores because they're delicious.
I will. I'll pass that along.
Give her my love. And, as time goes on, I'm wearing this goofy Derrick Henry jersey. And as we sit here, you're a baseball nerd. I'm a baseball nerd. World Series. We just watched Game 7 and the Ohtani thing last week. There's so many directions I can take you in.
Yeah.
And, but the football thing, as it sits front and forward, and Lamar in the season, you're down in Tampa, right? Like, so give everybody just give your little speech, because I like you to do that to let everybody know who you are. But you disappeared to Tampa like a long time ago, 30 years ago, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've been down here since November of 86. And
40 years ago. Hell. 39 years. All right. Wow.
It's hard to believe, because when I look back at some of the events and, people I followed and wrote about, and they're not around anymore. I mean, I actually just retired officially a couple of weeks ago, but I still do a lot of freelance work. I mean, as far as the football thing, let's pump the brakes on the Bucks for now. Not just because they lost last night, but people have to realize that without Baker's heroics in their first four wins, they could have easily lost those games.
I don't think
Last
they're
night,
a good team. I think he's a moxie quarterback, right?
yeah, last night was the first night, though, first game this year where he looked rattled. Hutchinson and that makeshift secondary really confused him. I mean, he was overthrowing wide open guys.
Well,
I'm
now
not a
Evans
big.
is really hurt, and
Oh, he
that's.
broke his
I
collarbone.
mean, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, and plus he had a concussion. And I don't like Bowles as a coach. Never have. I mean, forget the deadpan expression and all that stuff. But he plays not to lose. He plays this bend but don't break defense. I mean, it doesn't matter who they're playing, whether it's the great receivers from Detroit. They almost lost to the Jets. I mean, it's one of those games where they were up by 3 TDs in the fourth quarter. They stop pumping the brakes. They get that field goal blocked. It was, remember that week where everybody was blocking field goals, and it wasn't until Baker rallies them for a late field goal, or they would have lost to the flipping Jets. So
well, the Ravens only
uh,
won one game and they beat the Browns, right? So
yeah,
like,
yeah,
and Flacco's not even there anymore. Now he's like,
yeah,
it is amazing that if I had you on 5, 6 weeks ago, before that Colts reunion, even
yeah,
after the Buffalo loss or whatever, the perceptions of teams and this thing with Lamar, and here's the weird part, and I keep going with this with Luke. By the way, Joel Poiley is our guest if you're tuning in on radio, author of Tom Maddie book and a longtime sports writer down in Tampa, but a Baltimore guy, as you
sure,
can see from his Colts and Orioles gear if you're watching out on the video screens. But it's just perilous, right? I wrote this nasty letter to John that he's earned, richly earned here. But I also think they're like I thought they would get to 7-7, and I've
yeah,
predicted that. But if Lamar doesn't get back on the field, even if Lamar gets back on the field, and I've seen some people say this week too,
right,
they got to win 2 games in 4 days this week.
yeah,
And Miami looks like you're going to talk about them the way we talk about the Jets or Cleveland. I watch a lot of bad football on Sunday in the 1 o'clock hour. Like there are some hapless teams, Dolphins, Jets being two of them, right?
hmm,
But the Bears are capable either way,
yeah,
and the way the stadium is emptied out here the last 2 weeks as I look over your left shoulder, Joel, and I see that 1982 Baltimore Colts pennant, and I said it reminded me of Art Schlichter and Mike Pagel, and somebody sent me Bill Troop's lifetime awards, and I do want to shout out the great Marty Domers, whose name came up with me. He was a Custis
yeah,
customer as well. We lost
yeah,
Marty Domers, and we talk about quarterbacks of elder statesmen, but the Art Schlichter era here where the stadium was empty and Irsay was moving the team, you were in Baltimore for that. You were bleeding hard for that. Dude, I've
yeah,
never seen our stadium empty out and the people stay to boo the head coach. And I told
hmm,
John, I'm like, dude, I've been at this 30 years. You're in a different spot here as an organization at 1-5 when you had Super Bowl hopes and a $50 million quarterback, and the season can go away before Halloween next week, and that's dark.
yeah. Look, they still have other issues. I mean, Lamar notwithstanding. I mean, they have no, because I follow the team. They have no pass rush. They're always going to be disjointed on offense without Lamar in there. But let's face it. I mean, like I think Luke pointed this out. He didn't play great in the KC game after the first drive. They have issues, and
Well, the offensive line's not good, and I
no,
don't know that it's going to get better.
right, and a lot, and the injuries in the NFL are crazy. But in thinking about what's going on in Baltimore this year between the Orioles and the Ravens, I mean, it's definitely the year of the injury. That's what people are going to remember, or injuries. But I tell you, brother, to get to 7-7, it's not going to be easy. I watched a little bit of the Bears on Sunday. I mean, they're playing with some confidence, so that's not going to be an easy game. And I mean, if they can get to 7-7, yeah, then they still have to win out. I mean, that's a long way to go. That's what, 8 games? That's half the season where they have to completely flip the switch from the way they're playing now.
Joel Poiley is our guest. He has done plenty of radio down in the Tampa area. He's written books and is working on. We'll get to some baseball in a minute because I know
Okay.
baseball's sort of your first blood, and we got World Series. We certainly have Orioles stuff to talk about. But the
Yeah.
Ravens' woes in the middle of all of this, to your point, I love the way you sum that up. I'm gonna make that the headline at Baltimore Positive about the year of the injury for Baltimore because you do view it as certainly an expert eye in what you've done for a living. I mean, there's just no point no offense to anybody out there that's not a real sports writer, hasn't been one for 40 or 50 years like Joel and I, or been in locker rooms before people like Chad Steele who have no integrity throw me out. And try to affect what people would think about the confidence of my information, which
Yeah.
is really I'm going to Matumbo that all day long after 40 years of my work. But I just would say, like, you've been witness to all of this from the outside with an expert eye, and having been in locker rooms and been around all of what sports is in professional sports. For our city, for Baltimore, for you being a bleeding heart Baltimore
Sure.
fan, being an old guy, from the 60s and 70s and 80s and loving sports here and spending a lifetime in Tampa where you didn't love it, but you reported on it. You love sports, but I don't know if you love the Buccaneers or fell in love with the Rays. You're probably deep down an Oriole and a Baltimore Colts, probably Ravens guy. But
Right.
the notion that you watch this from a side and say, man, my old hometown's on the come, the murder rate's down, Ness is there talking good things. The Orioles look like they could win the World Series, and the Ravens look like they could win the Super Bowl. I did a segment like last summer with Dave
Hmm.
Sheinin, like a summer and a half ago with Rasig,
Yeah.
when it was shiny and wonderful, and Corbin Burns was here, and like all of that. And I'm like, which one will have a parade first? And you know what Dave Sheinin said? And this is the cynical SOB that he is.
Right.
Neither. He said neither. He said because it's too hard to do either one. He said
Yeah.
so, and here we are. And with the Ravens season, I just feel like it's been, as a sports guy and a guy that's done this 27 years with a sports radio station or whatever,
Yeah.
this was the year of prosperity that's going to poo poo.
Yeah, and it's all falling apart so quickly. I mean, because I know you and Luke have talked a lot about middle of last June. I was with you. I thought that was maybe the best O's team since 70 or 71. I mean, definitely could have been better than 83, and then second half of last year fell apart. Uh, the the subtleties of sports can change so quickly. And like you're talking about locker rooms, you get a vibe when you've covered things a long time. Obviously, I'm not
Well,
up
you look
there.
into the whites of a man's eyes
Yeah,
in victory, in defeat, in pain, in agony, in exultation, in celebration. I have all of those experiences with these men, which is
yeah,
why when Edwin Mulatalo's in town, he texts me. You know what I mean? Like there
yeah.
is a relationship built, and I learned this from Chris Thomas back in the day, who followed you.
Yeah.
Or did you follow him? You went first, right?
I went first, but we actually worked in the same building when he was at Channel 8 down here, and I was at the Tribune, and we had a few
But he was my
conversations.
idol, you know that, right? Like I
Yeah,
loved Chris as a boy. Like,
he, wa-
that's
he, wa-
one of
he
the
was
reasons I wanted to do this, and one of the reasons I'm as wacky as I am in the way that I am.
he was
Um,
killing it down here, Ness. And then he got sick and he passed
yeah, I
way
mean, but
too young. But
I'm just
I
saying
loved him.
for anyone, and I loved Chris, right? But
Yeah,
of that generation, that is the point where when you look into Kenny Cooper's eyes in
yeah.
1984, you saw what he was about. You know what I mean? And you could
Hmm.
read a phony from a mile away, and like, to me, I'm with you. When guys are running out the back door, I haven't seen that much in my career in 41 years across every sport, across
Hmm.
PR directors, real PR directors, not
Right.
not locker room bouncers. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like there to bully people like me. I'm talking about like spirit of minor league hockey, minor league
Yeah.
soccer, pro soccer, collegiate sports, Olympic sports, the Naval Academy. I covered naval football. Like just
Yeah.
what honor, what integrity is for when you're a professional athlete, the level
Hmm.
of expectation that you stand in front of your locker, win, lose, or draw, be a man, be the tough guy you say you are, be accountable, have integrity. Don't make the backup quarterback come out and have to speak for you.
Right.
Like when that starts happening, I really do question, and I've questioned out loud John's integrity. But I mean,
Right.
you've done this for a long time. Did you have a lot of guys sneaking out the back door? Maybe more in the modern era because like that's cool and social media and all that. But it's never cool. It's never been endorsed by management, agents, parents,
No.
adults. Adults don't endorse that kind of behavior, and they don't make excuses for it. Champions don't make excuses for it.
Well, you know this. You learn more from guys, athletes, when they can deal with a loss and when they can come to the podium and when they can answer the tough questions. And they just create more doubt when all those things. I didn't run into too much of guys running out the back door, but even going all the way back to when you and I may have covered high school. I mean, some of the best coaches I dealt with were high school coaches because they're maybe they were coaching a lousy team and they were always front facing and they were
For
always
the
willing
honor
to,
of their school that you were covering them in the
and it's
paper,
part of the
right?
job,
Or
brother.
Chris Thomas is there with a microphone and say you just lost the state championship
Yeah,
and you're in tears and the cheerleaders are in tears. That's friggin' sports, man. That's
you're
it. That's
right.
his old. That's why we watch. I remember Freddie Patek. I mean, I saw the big
Yeah.
dumper get very emotional on Monday night, right? Like, I mean,
Mhm.
obviously the agony of Mike Evans and the pain and how people react to tragedy and pain, but
Yeah,
losing is life. And if you can't handle that and you run out the back door and you have a team full of guys that run out the back door,
right.
no
Well,
bueno, Joel. I just I can't, and it's not because I'm some old butthole 57-year-old get off my lawn guy. It's because
yeah,
I'm a parent of a son. May have a grandson or a grandchild, or I sit here and I'm accountable every single day for the good, the bad, and the ugly in my life. And
yeah,
like I can't fathom that that's acceptable to Steve Bisciotti, Sashi Brown, Chad Steele, John Harbaugh, Mark
yeah,
Andrews' parents, the people that write him checks for those military ads that he does that
yeah.
Trump's behind, like
Mhm.
all of that. I don't understand it. How you're in the commercial 1 minute. I'm wearing Derrick Henry's jersey. Think I'd be wearing his jersey if he ran out the back door, Joel? I would not. I literally would not.
Yeah. You interviewed Flacco, I think, during the off season, and one of the things he said was, It's part of your job. You have, it's when you're being paid. I mean, let's move it up to the pro level, and you're representing the town, the organization, like you said, the management. I mean, look, I know you have issues with Elias. I mean, the way he handled that Hyde firing was Bush League all the way around. There's
I
no
would
question.
fire him on the spot. To me,
No
if David
question about it.
Rubenstein knows anything about the world, and I go back to David Modell, and if I
Yeah,
really wanted to be a prick, I would pull it up, and I can pull it up right now online from
yeah,
Purple Rain 1 in
right,
the second chapter where David Modell brought me into his office at the top of Signet building and
yeah.
he handed me 2 sheets of paper. I literally still have the 2 sheets of paper. I have them in my
Hmm.
files that he handed me. And it had and this is before, this is in the fax era. There's no internet really, He handed
Right,
me 2 sheets of paper that outlined everything he was looking for in a head coach. I had it in
right.
my bag when I met Billick in
Hmm.
Minnesota after that championship game. We're coming up on an anniversary of that, right?
Okay.
And it outlined, and the one thing that it said in it, and I'll give this to you, and you're in Tampa, dude, where the hockey team owns the place. The baseball team can't figure it out, even for old white guys like you that love baseball, and Pete
Right.
Williams and all my friends. It's like they played a minor league ballpark and they couldn't sell out this year. Like, just in a
Yeah.
general sense, he wrote this down, and I might. Joel, I love you, man. You inspire me. You really do. Joel Poiley is here. You make me think harder because you
Good.
treat me like a senior editor. When I look at you, I see Stedman. You know what I mean? I see that
Thank you.
generation of people that would hold me accountable. Jack Gibbons wrote to me on my birthday last week. It almost made me cry.
Yeah.
So the thing that he wrote was recruit the community. Recruit
Mhm.
the community.
Right.
And in Tampa, there's been nothing in your 39 years there, and Chris Thomas showing up there as a Baltimore guy or whatever, that
Right.
the Buccaneers were the Yuccaneers running around in creamsicle. Nobody cared. The Tampa Bay Rays didn't exist. They weren't a glimmer. Once they did, they were a joke, and they played
Right.
in a blimp that nobody wanted to go to, and they didn't win. And
Right.
their owner was a creep. There's the history, right? I've been through that with Rick Vaughn, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then the hockey team came in and they're like, they don't know a puck from a truck. Nobody here is going to go to hockey games. They want the Rangers. They're all New Yorkers. They want
Yeah.
whatever they're Canadian. They want they'll go see the Canadians play or they'll see the Leafs play or the Canucks or whatever. And nobody from Vancouver's there anyway. But
Right.
but either way, am I portraying that the right way on behalf of your community in Tampa?
The first ownership group with the Lightning didn't know their ass from their elbows. There was Japanese guy. The person, and you know this, who saved hockey down here was Phil Esposito. I mean, because he promoted the team. He
He recruited the community.
He did. I mean, yeah, he brought in a female goaltender, Mano Riom, and it wasn't just a joke though. He was trying to get even women involved by doing that. I mean, and he still does analyst work with the
He
team
pinched
now.
me on the cheek the last time I saw him alive. I was up in the
Yeah,
press box there at the Ice Palace, Ice Arena, and he
yeah.
pinched me on the cheek because I told him that I was close with Gene Ubriaco.
Oh yeah,
Oh, he pinched me. Oh, Woobies, my boy from the
yeah,
Sioux. So,
yeah.
I mean, Espo, God, when I think of Espo, you know what I was going to shake my ass for you, but I'm wearing my pajamas because that's why I do the show. Um, do you remember Ooh La La Sasson? Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
From the New York Rangers commercials with Brad
Sure.
Beck,
The
right?
hair, yeah, the hair thing.
Ooh
Hmm.
la la, sasson. That's
Uh-huh.
Phil Esposito recruiting the community in New York as a Ranger. Like, it's recruiting the community, man. Like, literally, it's recruiting the community. And I don't, both of these teams stink here now. Both of them
Yeah,
have owners that are out to lunch, and it's a cautionary tale that the
yeah.
stadium's empty and they're booing Harbaugh. That
Hmm.
everybody that owns Oriole Birdland is pissed at Katie Griggs on down. I'm getting angry anonymous letters here about Katie Griggs. It's
Really?
crazy, right? So, like, what I'm saying is, you've been in a place where like recruiting the community has sold ice on 110-degree days in Tampa.
Right. But all the alumni from the team, from Bradley to Andrew Chuck, they're still here. A lot of them have made homes here.
When did they
And,
come? 94, maybe, like that?
93, 94, 4 or 5 years before we got baseball.
So they
That
they've
that's what
been in
shocked
existence
us.
like 2 or 3 years longer than the Ravens. Just I'm trying to put it in like around when
Yeah,
Camden Yards happened. Okay, all right, yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
That's what shocked us down here that we got NHL hockey before MLB. Yeah, it was crazy.
you had hockey before baseball.
Yeah, yeah,
Man, Tampa's weird, Joel. You know that. That's why you love it so much. Joel Poiley is
yeah,
here. He is an author, a recovering sports writer. I mean, I want to give you some oxygen on where you are and your disappointment in the Baltimore sports thing because the headline was injuries for you.
yeah,
That's where's the old guy would say, well, isn't that convenient? Like, is that's
yeah.
convenient to say it's injuries? But I mean, I think that is the lead story. Certainly for the pitching of the Orioles, right? As we transition to baseball, because I know
Okay.
that's your game.
I was going to go a little bit more into the Bucks. I mean, just for a second, I mean, the Bucks own the community because they came along in '76, and even though they were the Yuccaneers, there was nothing else here but college sports. So for them, it was easier because they had the town to themselves until what, 93, 94, and then baseball in '98.
But they
So
were no good ever.
right, right. But because this area and football down here is king, they were still packing the old sombrero, until they started winning. But yeah, let's get into the scene up there. I mean, it pains me to see what's going on up there, but injuries are so convenient. I mean, I have so many thoughts with the Orioles. I'm just going to start with my theory, which I'm sure nobody will buy. I think they need to sign two starting pitchers, and I think yeah, they need a middle of the order bat. There's no question. They need a Nelson Cruz, a Harmon Killebrew, who knows, Frank Robinson. But even though they look pretty good going into next season, with Rogers, Bradish, possibly Wells, depending upon how they want to use them, Kramer, this postseason has proven again that starting pitching still matters. Starting pitchers are still better than your bullpen guys. I've had this theory for several years now. I call it the human theory. And initially, my friends were laughing at me, but now they're buying into it because I've been looking at box scores for like 4 or 5 years. And this may be a project later on. And, if it comes to fruition, I'll tell you about it. But
I love box
what,
scores. They're the
when
basis of my
you,
sports love. I
oh,
mean,
yeah,
I was the agate clerk for crying out loud, Joel.
that's how we all started, brother. I did that. Um, get
The
me off
loop
track there.
leaders, man. I say loop leaders, and Luke's like, "What's a loop leader?"
I
So
know, yeah. Check your old Sunday sports section. Um, yeah, I think depending upon Daddy Moneybags, and how much money he's going to let Elias spend, I say narrow the free agent pitching list down to the top seven, not the top 10. you have to sign one of the top three and then sign one of the other four, which they probably won't do. They'll probably just sign one. But, because they still have to get a closer and they still have to rebuild the bullpen. Although you can rebuild a pen maybe on 35 or 40 million. I mean, relative terms, that's ridiculous money to us. But I think they need to concentrate on pitching. I have no problem if next season starts with Povich, Young, and even Grayrod, because I've told you before, I think he's Hunter Harvey 2.0. Great potential, but I don't think his body can hold up to the rigors of a major league season. I have no problem if all three of those guys start next season in Norfolk, because if you can sign two, like an ace and a 1A, and then you put Rogers, Bradish, or Bradish, Rogers, whatever, numbers you want to put to them, and Wells and Kramer, you have a pretty good staff. Even if Kramer ends up as your long man in the bullpen, you're going to need that. I'm not. Bullpens are so volatile, Ness. I mean, you see these guys like Cionel Perez and Cano. I mean, they lose it overnight. But I know the problem with Cano. I mean, we follow the game. I know the game. It's his arm slot, and I'm sure the Orioles can see that. I mean, when he first came up, remember, like the first year he retired, like the first 22, 25 guys. He makes the All-Star team. Once he starts raising his arm slot and his ball starts tumbling in the middle of the plate, he gets crushed now. And I'm sure, I would hope the Orioles pitching coaches can figure that out. All right, you go to the offensive side with them. You can't go into next season with Beavers. As much as I like his potential, he's still a young kid and he struggled in September. Cowser, who I could talk all day about because I don't think he's a major league player, and I'll go into in a minute.
Yeah,
And
I've been tough on him too. Yeah.
general soreness and right, and he's a whole other issue. Here's my deal with Cowser. I know he's a great guy, the whole cow outfit thing. Katie Griggs can use him for marketing. He's a typical Elias draftee. He's big, he's strong, struck out a lot, but they figure, coming into the system, but they figured they could fix him. He's a tease. He's like Jim Fuller was. You remember Fuller back in
I
the
remember
day?
Jim Fuller.
Yeah,
Now you're
you
talking my
know,
language.
he could hit the ball a mile, like Cowser can, but he can't hit it often. I looked at some numbers, and this goes back to something Manzolino said late in
Well,
the
this
year.
goes back to you and I being old guys about strikeouts and not having not having an appetite for it the way
Right.
modern baseball likes it.
Yeah, and I'm not an analytics guy, but as a reporter, I use numbers to augment facts. I mean, yeah, the average strikeout rate in Major League Baseball is 22%, which is ridiculous. Guys in our day would make the majors doing that. But Cowser is a tease. He's big, he's strong, he has power, he has a great arm, but he can't hit the ball. He can't hit a curveball or breaking ball to save his life. And now, as an outfielder, I'll get to his injuries in a minute, which were perplexing to me that he was still playing. As an outfielder, look, I'm not going to tell you I was a great player, but I played all through into college, into my 30s. Paul Blair was a friend of mine. He lived in my apartment complex, Scotts Level Apartments, growing up when I was in high school.
Former Coppin State skipper as
My
well. So
man.
yeah,
And Paul was a great guy. And I mean,
I love Paul.
I'm in high school in Milford, and he's giving me tips on, play shallow. Here's how he was great. But what my point is, Cowser doesn't get great breaks on the ball, even though the Orioles say he does. Yeah, he has a great arm. How many cutoff guys has he either overthrown or he runs the ball in on the ground? A great cutoff, and I'm getting too technical here, is like a lead pass in baseball. You want the infielder coming into the infield, catching the ball where he can take that quick crow hop and make that throw. When you make him leap up or field a ground ball coming in from the outfield, you're allowing the base runner 4 or 5 more steps. The fans up there are watching guys pull into second and third like it's a matter of course. Like, oh, well, he was going to make it anyway. Go back and look at some old films from our day, from your cousin's day, from '66. The great teams all the way up to '83. Brooks would cut off throws coming in from Kurt Blefary, who had no arm in left field, throw to Louis at second. You diffuse innings that way when you get guys trying to stretch hits. Cowser going back on a ball. does not know where the outfield warning track is because, yeah, how many times have you seen him crash into the wall and hurt his shoulder?
I
Watch
had
him.
Fred Lynn on the show this summer, by the way.
I
So
know, and we talked about that, and I know Fragile Freddie hurt himself a lot, but he caught the ball. Here's the other thing. Here's the
so did
other
Jim
thing.
Edmonds, by the way. Yes.
Oh, Edmonds was great.
Yeah.
Eh, Near Hall of
We
Fame.
love guys that crash in the walls. We just don't like when they get hurt.
Well, here's the deal with Cowser. Go
We
back and
watched
look.
too much This Week in Baseball in the 70s, you and me, I think. So we
I
watched
know,
Joel.
but here's the deal. When Cowser leaps for a home run, the ball doesn't go over his glove. It's 2 feet to his right or 2 feet to his left. That tells you he's not tracking the ball. Now, I'm finding out now what he had broken ribs and he was playing with a bad hand. Then why the heck was he out there? I mean, was he the best they could throw out there? A guy who strikes out 37% of the time can't can't hit a curveball to save his
Well, I'm
life.
with you. How many at bats are you expecting him to have next year?
Okay, here's another point with him. Go back to when he came up in 23. I mean, he was awful. He had one good at bat in a series down here. Remember the series in July of 23 when the Orioles overtook Tampa
They
after
were
they
good,
got off?
right? That's right when they hit the gas.
Right.
For
He
about
hit
11 months, they hit the gas. That was it.
Yeah, he hit a sac fly in one of those games where I think they swept or won 3 out of 4 from Tampa, took over first place. And I remember thinking, oh, maybe the kid's getting it. Did nothing the rest of the year. I know he was second in Rookie of the Year last year, but a couple things. It wasn't a great year for rookies. I mean, Heel, the pitcher from New York, won. His 24 home runs don't mean anything to me because he accomplished them in about 6 weeks of the season. Remember, he started hot, did nothing in May and June, got a little bit hot in July, and then he comes back this year. Now, okay, I'll give a guy a pass a little bit because he's banged up, but in our day, he doesn't make it out of AAA, brother. I mean, he's a prospect with a lot of tools, but you're right. He's got over 1,000 at bats
Well,
because I went and
everyone
looked.
here graduated because that was the will of the organization. You're a
Right.
1-1, you're a 1-2, you're a 1-4, whatever you are. You are the hope. You are the
Yeah.
we're not going to backfill by giving money to the Canadian guy who played 40 games. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we're going to give you the at bats, not
Right.
them. That's how Santander was grown. That's how Mountcastle became whatever he became and Mancini and whatever. And that's what bad organizations do. Bad
Right.
organizations play their young cheap players and figure out who's good and who isn't out on the field
Right.
instead of in Norfolk or instead of literally in Salisbury for crying out
Right.
loud. But
Yeah.
that's old school. Now
Yeah.
it's they're cheap. Play them. They're young and they're young and cheap. Play them, and we'll
Mhm.
figure out whether we're going to pay them or get rid of them or wear them out. In the case of Matt Wieters or whatever,
Yeah.
run them like a rented mule before Scott Boras gets a hold of them. We have to start paying for the
Right.
groceries.
Right.
And this really is the jury. Everything you're saying, Joel, is incumbent upon Mike Elias, but it's really incumbent upon Rubenstein. And
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you because I'm on the streets here. And even though they'd like to tell you I'm the outsider,
No, you're not.
Arrighetti's running the place. Arrighetti's the
Well,
baseball guy. Arrighetti's money is active money.
mhm.
Arrighetti's got young kids. Arrighetti's got a bigger ego than even Rubenstein.
Mhm.
Arrighetti will do 2 bobbleheads when it's all done and run around in the hot dog race.
Right.
Arrighetti is the guy here who's throwing the party. He's the guy
Right.
with too much money, baseball, loves like all of that.
Yeah.
He's young. He's going to be the John Angelos that
Okay.
usurps this. So just know that Arougheti.
Mhm.
And when you meet him, you meet his assistant, and she shakes your hand and tells you she's going to get in touch with you, and you never hear from her again.
And right.
So I'm letting you know that that's ownership. And
Yeah.
everything you're giving me, including the fact that their general manager fired the manager and hid for 3.5 days
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
finished in last place and blah, 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 but comes forward and says, I gave you Trevor Rogers. Didn't I? You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
We drafted that Gunnar Henderson kid. He can play. So they can sell the positives and they can also do the bleeding heart. But we were injured. We were really hurt. We got hurt. We got hurt. Look at pitching, unprecedented pitching. But we got Bradish back. So the things that keep your job, including here's a
Yeah.
new manager. I
Right.
found you a new manager. I found you
Right.
a starting pitcher. It's going to cost $184 million, but
Right.
Mike. This is what it's going to cost. Mike Arrighetti,
Right.
Big Bones, and they
Mhm.
all think that this community has money flying out of trees, and Katie Griggs got off the plane from Seattle and thought she's going to win the community by pissing on people like me.
Yeah.
And I don't see it, Joel. I'm not feeling it here for where the money's coming from. But more than
Right.
that, what are they doing? They're not even front facing. They were at the Brown Advisory last week. Why don't you come down to the Dundalk and Middle River Advisory? Why don't you come down
Right.
to the Costas Advisory, and we'll talk to your fans about who's going to support this. And they just think they're going to find rich people in Baltimore. Like literally that. I've watched this for a year and a half. They
Oh,
they
yeah.
feel like they're going to find rich people to buy boxes, and they're going to bring Provident Bank back to life, and Frank Bramble's going to come back, and
Right.
Count Gasoline,
Right.
and
Hmm.
Henry's going to come back. Like, dude, I know where all the pieces and where the bones are in the whole city. Like, they
Yeah.
need to be recruiting the community. I go back to David Modell,
Yeah.
recruit the community.
Like you're right. I mean, it's not New York, it's not Chicago, it's not LA. It's not people that just have that ready disposable income. It's a Baltimore's a town of average working hard working Joes and Jills, and they do not seem to have picked up on that at all.
By the way, I
And
went to Aubrey Huff's press conference back after they threw me out.
okay.
You can look it up. I went to a couple press conferences. I was there when Buck Showalter got hired. His wife tweeted
Yeah.
about that
Yeah.
when I wrote the John Angeles letter.
Hmm.
But I was at the Aubrey Huff press conference. I'll never forget. I went down there. It was stupid. It was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday afternoon. It was kind of
Hmm.
the, or it was whatever. And I know Aubrey's such a great American. He's a real patriot.
Oh yeah.
And I know he lives in your community down there with Hulk Hogan and Bubba the Love Sponge and like all of that.
Yeah.
So, I know the grease of all of that because Huff showed up on that show. He called
Oh yeah.
Baltimore shithole, like the whole deal, right?
Yeah.
I went down there and I liked Aubrey Huff, the player, and I remember
Right.
him, the hero, and the Giants gear and like all of that.
Hmm.
And I liked the signing from a baseball, like, hey, we need a bat, right? And
Right.
I liked Glenn Davis and Chris Davis. So I can go through all of it. I liked Rafael Palmeiro until I met him. So like I could go through that, but the Huff thing that day, this is when
Mhm.
the franchise was ailing, suffering. The Ravens had won a Super Bowl. I think it probably was during the Steve McNair kind of, Ravens were good. Billick was here. There was expectation. Ray Lewis was Ray Lewis. Ed Reed was going
Mhm.
to the Hall of Fame. Terrell Suggs was. It was a good time for the Ravens. It was an
Yeah.
awful time for the Orioles, and weren't they all?
Right.
But they brought him in, and I remember going down there on a Friday night up onto the third floor of the little warehouse, and they had a little press conference. And
Hmm.
that dude flew in for the press conference and flew out and could not have been less interested in being in Baltimore. I think they gave him like a lot of money in that time, 3 years, 30, but whatever the
Right.
number was, it was a lot. It was, they had done something. They had
Yeah.
signed what you're asking for, right?
Right.
They had signed a top 10 free agent at a position that they had a need, who could hit
Yeah.
the ball off the wall and, was going to hit him
Yeah.
39 home runs and drive in 112 runs and be a leader, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Instead, he was a redneck who came up here, who hated everything about the city,
Yeah.
turned out to be a virulent, bad
Remember.
guy, legendarily bad guy, and came
Hmm.
here, called our city a shithole, left. Nobody came. Nobody like that's been baseball here for 30 years, is finding the guy that
I
isn't
know.
hard in like Derrick Henry is. I'm wearing his jersey, by the
Yeah.
way, on purpose. And
Yeah.
instead of signing mercenaries, that word has been around for a long time, the mercenary free agent signings and stuff. But in
Right.
baseball, they all kind of feel mercenary, but you need to figure out who's, I don't want to downplay Charlie Morton. I want to upplay him as being a quality human
Yes.
and
Yes.
the kind of people that they've wanted to sign to be leaders to come
Right.
in to teach Gunnar Henderson and Adley Rutschman and Jackson Holliday how to win. And I don't know where
Yeah.
that is. I've given you a big mistake in Aubrey Huff, and I bring
Right.
that up into say, like, going out and throwing out money like like they're on the pole and you're making it rain if you're Eric Getty and watching what the Mets have done up in New York and just
Yeah.
saying money, money, money. You better get the right kind of cats in here. I mean, I'm just saying, and this is watching Mark Andrews and watching Marlon Humphrey talk about being a loser at his locker this week, and just what the Ravens are in the ticker, and what I've seen as a man and as a sports writer, and
Right.
having done this for 40 years, all of my adulthood since I was a child, I've
Right.
done this. I I've seen the mistakes, dude, and throwing money around to just anybody with an arm or this baseball team's got to think differently than that. And the old man
Right,
could never think like that. And I can't
right.
even get Eric Getty or Griggs or any of these people even into a room to talk to a redneck from Dundalk,
Yeah,
Venezuelan, Hispanic with long hair who won't tell them what they want to hear. You know what I mean? Literally.
I know. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, your views are always going to be the truth, and they don't want to hear it. Let me give you an example. George Springer. He's had a couple down years in Toronto, but you talk about character and what that means in a clubhouse, in a community, to a team. This is a good dude. I've gotten to know him a little bit through some
Oh, you know him
interviews.
a little bit. Okay.
Well, I've done some
The
stories
first thing
about
he
him.
mentioned after he won was Canada. We won this for Canada. We like, and I told Luke, I'm like, this is a whole different kind of World Series.
Yeah,
I've been up to Canada. We opened the season there. I know a lot of Canadian people. I'm supporting Getty and his grandson.
Getty.
Mark
Yeah.
Shapiro runs the team, even though he took my press pass away on opening day.
Oh,
Disgraceful, Mark and Ron, all
I
of
got
you. I mean,
you.
walk your talk, bro. I mean, you
Yeah,
you let my Caucasian reporter into your press box in Skydome. You didn't let me in. I got no time for that.
I hear you.
But nonetheless, I've been pulling for the Blue Jays in a way that I thought I'd be more Mariner oriented. But I like new teams. I like anything not the
Yeah,
Yankees, and
yeah,
I love Janet Marie and I love Dodger Stadium. But
yeah.
this is going to be a nationalistic kind of World Series
Right.
this week, and the Blue Jays. And I pointed this out to Luke, and this is where I'm taking you down a long road.
Okay.
They are going to be like the Yankees now that they're on the top of Canada and
Hmm.
because they are Canada's team and they're going to be well funded. So this is for Arrighetti and for Rubenstein and for the Red Sox people
Right.
and for you Tampa Pobrecitos and your new owner down there and whatever you're going to do, you
Yeah.
better be willing to pay baseball players because the Blue Jays are now in play the way the Cubs became in play 10 years ago where they
Right.
started like spending like drunken sailors. The Blue Jays will be it will be incumbent upon them as Canada's team. It's
Right.
different. It's just different, man. Like you've been up there,
Right.
you see all these Dunedin people that come down every year.
Yeah.
Like it's just a different gig. And what Trump has done to Canada, that this
Yeah.
is going to be nationalistic for the Blue Jays people. And a
Oh
guy
yeah.
like George Springer, it's the first thing he said. Like in the post game, we're doing this for Canada.
Right.
They feel it because they pull their passport out
Right.
every day as Americans when they're there. Same as Josh Naylor, by the way. He's probably another guy you know.
Yeah. There's a couple points. I mean, Springer grew up and he had dyslexia, and he's over. I mean, some people know that, but he overcame that, and he started his own foundation for kids with dyslexia, and he's just a good dude. I was really happy for him last night. But here's what the Jays have done. Remember, they gave Vlad the big contract, and then the rest of it is just they're kind of like role players. I mean, Springer had a bounce back year. Bichette, is going to get his money, but a lot of these guys like Clement, Kirk, Barger. I mean, I followed the game, and I didn't really, excuse me, know that much about them. But yeah, the Dodgers are going to be, if you want to just look at the series a little bit, the Dodgers will be favorite. But I tell you what, the Jays can grind through a pitching staff. It's going to be a good series. I mean, we're not, and yeah,
They lost the first two games at home and won,
I
right?
kind of was with you. I wanted to see Seattle make it because they've never been there. And, it's a good fan base and they deserved it. But it's been, what, 32 years, for Canada, for Toronto. So, yeah, it's going to be a good series. But I loved especially the starting pitching in the postseason, like I said, and where small ball mattered. Did you see that rally last night in the seventh inning?
Yeah, and
Kiner Falefa gets two strikes on him. Did you see that ball he hit up the middle? He just kind of guided that ball. There was no way he was going to just take that big King Kong swing like the Orioles guys do and strike out. Look, it could have been a hard hit double play. 3 feet to the left, the shortstop gets it, turn a double. I'll take that over a strikeout. But that
I
set
don't
up
love
the whole inning.
postseason ball for the pitching, but I like the desperation, the drama of Gosman coming in and having to get three
Yeah,
outs, and I get all of that, but it is a different style of baseball. Like you
yeah.
really are
But
in
it's
June
old
and July,
school
you're
too,
playing for
though.
a 3-run homer all the time because that's how you get paid.
Right. But
Literally,
but
it's why
old
nobody
school.
bunts. No, like all of the things that create a run that
Right.
manufacture runs in the modern parlance, that's not the way Moneyball was written. That's not the way the analytics book is written about, what you do on 16 or
Yeah.
17,
I'm
whether
gonna
you
I'm
hit
gonna
or
give you
stand.
Manzolino had a quote late in the year, and whether Tony gets a job or not, I mean, we can talk about that for a second. But
He's not
I
getting
like
this job, but
no,
yes.
but I liked him. He was just more interesting than Hyde. But he had a quote late in the year after the Orioles, one of the few times, put the ball in play and won a game through contact. And he was saying, "Look, I understand analytics. There's three true outcomes: walk, strikeout, or home run, but I like contact." And you start thinking about that. It's okay now for guys to strike out 33% of the time. That's ridiculous, dude. And that's what the game has come down to. You made the point that July, a 3-run homer matters more than small ball. I'll argue that point with you. Winning baseball is winning baseball. And the Orioles don't have a lot of those players that can do that, whether that's the organizational philosophy.
Well, they feel like their best chance is to hit the hell out of the ball.
Well,
That's
but
their
that's
best
the
chance to get a
only
run.
way.
That's a better chance than drawing walks, running around, stealing a base, going the other way, like, making a starting pitcher go deeper and work counts. Like,
Right,
we've seen it. We witnessed it. It
right.
led to what it led to. It led to some desperate looking baseball, like literally from a bunch of young guys that were drowning this year in many ways. Adley Rutschman looks like he is drowning right now, and I don't know
Yeah,
what it is, right?
we got to talk about him. I mean, it's perplexing. It really is. I mean, for a guy to fall off the cliff like that, I saw a stat on him in late August where for the previous 162 games, a full season, obviously, he was hitting 211 nests. I mean, he and Holiday just frustrate the hell out of me with their backsides ending up in the first base dugout. That launch angle swing of theirs. I mean, Holiday had the kind of year I figured he'd have a little bit, and he's still 21, and I get all that, and I'm glad he got rid of the leg kick and those things. But
Well,
he
it does
was
feel like
missing.
his father's his best batting coach, right?
Right, but he was missing pitches, fastballs right down the middle because either his dad or the team or the organizational philosophy has him trying to launch everything. I mean, good fastballs right down the middle, and he's swinging under them because he's bailing out. And Adley, I don't know. I'll give him credit. I think his defense, which wasn't bad, got a little bit better this past year. His rate throwing out guys is a little better. He's always had good soft hands
Well, he
behind the
also had a
plate.
lot of guys on base. I mean, the pitching wasn't good, right? So, I mean,
That's
no, I'm just
yeah,
saying, like,
practice.
life
You're
is
right.
different when you're allowing 12 and 14 and 16 base runners than
Yeah,
allowing 4 or 5 or 6, like just from your job as a catcher and
yeah,
pitchers working out of the stretch, right?
yeah. I mean, Elias is obviously a smart guy, but when I listen to him talk, to me, it's just a lot of word salad. Your actions dictate what you're really going to be like. Is he happy with his team striking out 10, 12, 15 times a game? That's half the outs in a ball game where you don't even have the defense needing a glove to get you out. It's just pitch and catch. I get it. A strikeout's a great thing. But you what I love about the postseason is old school still matters. Manufacturing runs, putting the ball in play. Um, they talk about the core. I mean, to me, other than Westy and Gunner, and I know his power slipped a little bit, but he showed me a lot. He was stealing bases, he was playing his tail off, and his defense really improved a lot. He's the least of their problems. Westy, they have to keep healthy, but you know. Holiday doesn't really look like a 1-1 to me. He just looks like a kid who might be a good player. Adley, I don't know what they're going to do with him. They're not going to trade him because he has no value. Cowser we talked about. Kierstead, will we ever
Well, they
see
gave
him again?
Basayo all the money, and we never talked about him at all, right?
Right.
Like,
And
he
yeah,
better be 450 at bats next year and 21 home runs and 72 R. I mean, they're
and
counting
100.
on these guys, right? Like there is no, as I always say to Luke, there's no cavalry, and the cavalry comes here in the offseason with whatever they sprinkle in, and they
Yeah.
spend $100 million on an outfielder that I have zero.
Okay.
How many at bats you giving that guy next year? And
Okay.
he's the highest paid player in the team.
All right. I have some numbers for you. I'm gonna. These are numbers, and you can probably figure out where I'm going with this. over the course of O'Neill's career, he's never played more than 138 games. The last four seasons, he's played 96, 72, 113 when he had his year with Boston, 54 this past year. Here's the other thing about him, because I've researched
So
him.
is the upside 113 games next year? Is that the upside?
I think they would take that, but here's what I'm getting at. I've read up on him. His dad was a champion bodybuilder in Canada,
He's a
and that
weightlifter. Yeah.
and that's how the kid got into it. You see the interviews with him, the tank tops, the cut off t-shirts. He's a dude. He's a weight guy. To me, he's trained his, and we've talked about this. He's trained his body to be an NFL fullback. He has no flexibility. They say he can run and he has agility. I don't see it. He throws the ball like Herman Munster. Um, yeah, and like I said, you count on an untested rookie in left in Beavers, a guy who really isn't a major league player in center in Cowser, and general soreness in right, and that's going to be your starting outfield on opening day. You can pencil the Orioles in for fourth or fifth place next year. That's why I think they need to just go all in on pitching. I'd rather see
That's why I'm
them
worried about the
lose.
Blue Jays blossoming here, not whether
Right.
they win or lose next week, just how you're going to be competing with them for pitching.
I'd
Because
rather
they're going to
see
be willing to spend 200 million because they like a full ballpark and they like
right.
being Canada's team and they like beating Americans. They
I'd
do.
rather see the O's lose every game next year 4-3. You cannot winning games 10-7, 9-8, 7-6, 7-5 is not sustainable because the other team will probably have better pitching anyway. And the point I was getting at with using too many pitchers in a game, I call it the human theory. You can't bring in four or five different bullpen guys every night, even though that's the way the game has devolved, in my opinion. Why? Because I guarantee you, one of them had an argument that morning with his wife, girlfriend, mother in law, significant other. And then one of the other guys who you bring in that night probably has a sore elbow or shoulder, but he's a margin guy. He's worried about his job. He's not telling the managers or the pitching coach. I call it the human theory. This is where we were talking about the box scores. You go back and look at box scores a lot during the regular season. There's going to be, if there's 15 games in a full slate during the season, I'd say at least 10 of them you're going to see blown saves, guys coming in giving up that two-run double late in the game. It just doesn't work, but that's the way the game's gone.
Well, and the max effort part of the bullpen effort and being able to throw it doesn't mean you can throw a strike, especially not at Yankee
Oh
Stadium with
God,
50,000 people in there.
you,
So
you
Joel
nailed it.
Poiley doesn't have to worry about that. The Tampa, where are they playing next year in Tampa?
Oh, okay, the trop supposedly will be ready, but it's still kind of iffy because they still haven't replaced all the panels, at the trop. But
Dude, as we sit
that's
here and watch the World Series, it's disgraceful. They played
oh,
the Sacramento A's and
I
the
know,
Tampa Rays are playing in a minor. Like, it's
I know,
just, and there's no Montreal or Austin, Texas or Portland, Oregon Nashville coming
right.
to save them.
The only thing I can say is the new owners do seem to have a clue, and if I can read the tea leaves a little bit, they want to build a stadium in Tampa, and you'll know this. They want to build it like right across the street from Ray J and Steinbrenner, Legends Field. So you have this complex right there. There's some land there, so
Are they going to rip down Mons Venus for this?
you can't do that
I'm,
because
I'm just, I'm just, I just,
no,
if you
no,
know, you know.
it's a
I'm just
it's a
asking. I'm
Bucks
just concerned. That's all. I'm getting
it's
older.
a it's a Buck's secret ingredient because the visiting team comes in every night. They go to Mons, get liquored up, do their
All I
thing.
know is there's a lot of car dealerships and Ponderosa kind of steakhouses,
On Dale Mabry.
and then there's Mons Venus on the Dale Mabry, baby, going up toward
Uh,
Polk County. Yeah, yeah,
yep,
you know, is that good?
you got it. Well,
I've
you
been to
know the
Tampa.
area.
I've
You
been.
know the area.
I know my way around a little bit. Joel, appreciate you, man. Joel Poiley is a
Love you,
recovering
man.
sports writer, old Baltimore guy who's stuck down in Tampa. Lucky you in October here, or as my friend says, Flora Duh.
Duh.
Which is, I love that. I'm never going to lose that because I met Ron DeSantis down there at an Oriole game a couple years ago. So,
Poor
speaking of
you.
duh, hey man, blessings to you. I will check back in with you the minute we get a manager, the minute we get a number one starter, the minute that Rubenstein and Arrighetti start spending money, the minute the Ravens get their act together, and tell everybody about your Tom Maddie book and why they should buy it because
All
I
right.
think people should spend money and buy the book.
Can you see it? Appreciate it.
Last Man Standing. I do see it. Yes.
Yeah, it's been out since last August. It's done well. There's still some clicks on Amazon, and I sell some copies myself. You love the old Colts. You love the old traditions. You love the guys who loved your community, as we talked about. Tom was your guy. Real quick before we go, because I know you gotta go. I saw Rick Vaughn about a year and a half ago after Madden got let go by the Angels. He still wants to manage. We've talked about this. He'd be perfect for that team, but they won't go that way. They'll go analytics, and Joe would want more control. Dark horse, Mark DeRosa. I have no inside info, but I know he wants to manage. He knows the team well. He knows the young core is kind of struggling. He understands analytics, but he played 12 years. He's a player's guy. Just my
I've heard Ryan
wild.
Flaherty. I've heard all
Oh
sorts
yeah,
of
that's
things,
a
you know?
given. Yeah, yeah. So we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see.
The last time around when it was Brandon Hyde, I heard Joe, the Astros, Espada,
That's about it. Yeah.
and he wound up. So these names that get circled around, they can
Louis
bring anybody they
Pujols.
want in.
Come on.
Adley Rutschman's got to hit the ball. Henderson's got to be an
Exactly.
MVP. Holiday's got to blossom. We talk about it all the time. Joel will be writing about it. He's down in Tampa. He is Joel Poiley, Poiley. You can find him out on the interwebs. I can connect you. He's written a book on Tom Maddie, Last Man Standing. Please go pick it up. Please come pick me up with a crab cake. Pick up a Raven scratch off from the Maryland Lottery. We will be at Costas on Wednesday of this week, Costas Timonium. I'll be back in Dundalk soon. I never forget the original old gangster. Trust me, it's for the holidays. I'm not going to Costas and Dundalk unless Gina Shock is with me from the Go-Go's. So
There you
I've
go.
dropped the ball on that. Unless I get my Dundalk Mafia together. State Fair in Catonsville will be there next Tuesday. Alan McCallum's going to talk some baseball with me. We're going to have some pancakes and some eggs and bacon and some waffles. There's no cheese with Alan. He doesn't want a cheese omelet. I'll get him the fried chicken and waffles. He'll love it, and I'll get the shrimp and grits. It'll be delicious. Coco's Pub in Lauraville on Wednesday the 5th with Marcella and coconut shrimp and Rasig. I've got some other guests. I think. I don't want to give away who my guests are going to be at Coco's, but that's the 5th and the 7th. I'm at Pizza John's in Essex, and we're going to honor Craig Heist in Essex and in Dundalk through the holiday seasons as we lost Heisty last week.
Yeah.
The King of Kenwood, as I like to say. So
Mm-hmm.
I am Nestor. We are WNST AM 1570 Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore positive. Stay with us.